Hey there, everybody. Franklin Taggart here with the virtual coffee break. I have my cup. Grab yours and let's have a chat, shall we? A couple of things that are going on in my mind this morning. It's a beautiful morning here in Colorado, by the way. Wish you were here. One of the things that has come up several times in the last month or so is the idea of creating for an audience. And there are some people who really struggle with this idea that the content that they're creating in their social media or the content that they're creating or the art that they're creating needs to be for an audience. And I have kind of a mixed response to that. And it kind of reminds me of when I lived in Nashville and I was going to songwriters' nights pretty much every night of the week at that point, just learning about how people work, what they do, where they get their ideas, how they collaborate, all of those kinds of things. And one of the things that I remember seeing a lot of was people making the assumption that the topic of a song was going to be the thing that made other songs popular if they copied the topic. So I remember, like at that time, this was the mid-90s, there were a lot of songs on the radio that were about things like tractors, trucks, football games. Garth Brooks was pretty much at the height of his powers, and Shania Twain was really the kind of go-to for the women singers. And so as I would go out to the writers' nights, the thing that I was really amazed by was how much the topics were so similar to the things that I was hearing on the radio. And one of the things that I found very interesting was that it wasn't the topic that made the song work. It was more complex than that. And most of the copycat writers who were writing songs, about football games and about trucks and about different things that they were hearing on the radio, their songs weren't as good as the ones that they were copying. And I think a big part of it was they were making the assumption that it was the topic that was popular. Well, I think that it's a little bit more than that. I think that people are attracted to the things that, I think that people are attracted to the stories that they respond to or resonate with, or that they have some kind of a reaction to. And that's not just the topic of the story, it's the plot, it's the characters, it's the setting. It's a bigger thing than just, the truck or the football game or the love that you lost. It's like there's more to it than just that. And so one of the things that I found was that, the folks that were writing these copycat songs they were trying to please an audience that they were assuming was interested in the topic. And instead, I thought that it was interesting that the people who were actually, on the road to success were the ones who were actually staying true to the stories. They were telling relatable stories. They were telling stories that were interesting. They were creating almost cinematic kinds of settings in their songs so that you could visualize what was going on in the song. And those folks went on to be, more successful than the copycats. Those folks, I don't think that they were actually writing for an audience. They were writing from their inspiration. They were inspired by something, and they just wrote to that inspiration. And if people liked it, people liked it. And if people didn't, next, they would go with the next realm of inspiration. And that was one of the things that I also was, I found very interesting in Nashville. At any given time, there can only be a handful of songs that are that are being recorded. And there, for every song that you hear on the radio, there are 10,000 songs that got passed by. And a lot of those songs were great songs. So one of the things that I always tell people is that if you try to write for your audience, that's not a problem. You can do that. But don't let that make you sacrifice the quality of your craft. It's like you've still got to stay true to writing the best story, the best music, the best scenario, and creating a compelling piece of art. I think if you're on that track, the audience is going to respond no matter what. So those were the things that I was thinking. Now, the other thing that I was really interested in talking about in relation to this is that I was thinking about the people who have been like famous artists from different periods in history. And I find it interesting. I wonder, just how far they thought their work would go. Like, I wonder, did Leonardo really, he was so focused on the perfection of his craft. I don't know that he had any kind of longevity or legacy in mind. I think he was just trying to deliver the most perfect craft to the person who was paying him. And it's like, Michelangelo may have had an idea that the Sistine Chapel was going to be around for a long time, or that the Pieta would be seen by, many, many people. But I wonder if they even had any idea that people from well beyond their time in life would be seeing what they do. And that's another thing that I like to encourage artists with. If you're a creator of any kind, follow your inspiration. It's like, I don't know if these videos that I'm creating will be appreciated by a lot of people in my lifetime. But if YouTube is around for a long time, there's a chance that future generations may find one or two of these videos that really register for them. Who knows? That would be great, right? But I can't make it for that. That can't be the reason that I do this. The reason that I do this is that I just have an idea and I have to do something with it. And I think that that's really where we have to stay true as creators, is if you have the idea, be true to it, follow it where it goes. Sometimes it's going to be a dead end. Like I said, for every song that gets recorded, there are 10,000 that don't. And for each one of us, the things that get put out there and the things that, get appreciated by the largest number of people, I don't know how much control we have over that. There are people that have studied virality, and even those folks say it's still a crapshoot. So getting back to the idea, it's like making the assumption that certain themes and topics are going to make something popular, I think is something that needs to be challenged. I think we need to really look at that people are responding to something that is bigger than just the topic of the song or the story or the book or the painting or whatever it is that we are putting out. They're responding to something bigger, and they're responding from their experience, and that we don't have any way of really knowing that very clearly ahead of time. So those are my thoughts about copying and about, you know what? I'm going to say one more thing about that. I think one of the benefits of copying is actually mastering your craft. And that reminds me of people who go back and copy the masters of art and sculpture and painting, and they try to make replicas of the famous pieces. I think that there's something to that, in that you can learn your craft by copying masters. That said, you can't be the master. The master's already been. So you have to develop your own mastery and put that out into the world. And you can be informed by them, but you can't be them, right? So a little bit of a ramble this morning, but I am thinking about things always. I've always got things on my mind, and I hope it's been worth your time. Thank you, as always, for your time and your attention. I'll be back tomorrow with another coffee break. Friday, I've got a great podcast episode with Michael Roderick. You're not going to want to miss it. So stay tuned for your own best company on Friday. Have a good one, whatever it is where you are. I hope it's a good one. So long.